A Provost Marshal is a title given to a person in charge of a group of military police. The title originated with an older term for military police, provosts. While a Provost Marshal is now usually a senior commissioned officer, she may be a person of any rank, who commands any number of MPs. Historically, the title was sometimes applied to civilian officials, especially under conditions of martial law, or when a military force had day-to-day responsibility for some or all aspects of civilian law enforcement. A Provost Marshal may also oversee security services, imprisonment, fire, emergency services and ambulances. British Armed Forces. In the British Armed Forces, the Provost Marshal is the head of the military police of each service, with the senior military police officers at lower levels being titled Deputy or Assistant Provost Marshals. In many cases the Provost Marshal is in charge of discipline. Canadian Forces. The Canadian Forces Provost Marshal is the branch advisor for the Canadian Forces Military Police Branch, and also the commander of the Canadian Forces Military Police Group. The CFPM is headquartered in Ottawa and has 5 sections, each under the command of a Deputy Provost Marshal. DPM Police, DPM Resource Management, DPM Individual Training and Education, DPM Security, and DPM Professional Standards. The CFMPGP is composed of the Canadian Forces National Investigation Service, Military Police Security Services, Canadian Forces Service Prison and Detention Barracks, and Canadian Forces Military Police Academy. German Armed Forces. The chief of the German military police is called General der Feldjägertruppe. The German armed forces do not have a specific title for military police officers, so in most tactical units and especially in multinational deployments, they will use the English term Provost Marshal. United States Armed Forces. In the United States Army and United States Marine Corps, the senior-most military law enforcement officer is the Provost Marshal General or Provost Marshal. The PMG was a post that was reinstated in 2003, having been abolished for 29 years. The PMG is Lieutenant General in charge of the United States Army Military Police Corps, U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Command and United States Army Corrections Command policy and procedures from the Office of the Provost Marshal General. At the Pentagon, the senior MP officer at the theater, corps, division, and brigade level and for each garrison is known as a Provost Marshal. In many U.S. Army garrisons, a Provost Marshal is at times also responsible for the provision of fire and physical security as well as law enforcement services, and thus is also referred to as the Director of Emergency Services.